Welcome to This Commerce Life. We are an unscripted podcast dedicated to small businesses and entrepreneurs in the retail and consumer packaged goods space in Canada and the United States.
I'm Phil Chang, co-host and co-founder.
And I'm Kenny Benucci, co-host and co-founder of This Commerce Life.
Our love is the journey to retail, and our passion is sharing that with you every week. Peace.
Hey, gentlemen, how are you guys doing?
Justin, how are you?
Doing very well. How are you?
Good, thanks. I got to work on my background. You guys both have much cooler backgrounds than I do.
I think Kenny's is on purpose, but I don't think mine's not on purpose. Mine is my kid. She does good art, and I put it up, and that's it. So, yeah.
Mine is the shit that I collect in my room is full of junk. So yeah, it's a whole different concept. He's proud. He puts his kid stuff on the wall. I do. You know, whatever happened, the fine goes behind me somewhere.
No, but you got cool stuff going on.
Oh, there's a lot of cool stuff in this room. It just, if you see it, it's just like a tornado hit. But anyway.
The angle you got going works. Looks good.
It's all good, man.
It's nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well. I think we've got a lot of people in common that we know, but we've never actually had the chance to meet.
I know. I was just telling Kenny. I was like,
because you're in your what do you call it?
Yeah, your LinkedIn.
All the places you've worked out.
Companies
you've all dealt with as well, right?
Yeah.
And I used to actually live pretty close to you, Kenny. I was in Mount Pleasant. So
okay.
So I was there for a while. I lived in Vancouver for about 5 years, and now I've relocated to the island.
Okay. Oh, nice. What were you doing in Vancouver? You're not from here, are you?
I'm from Ontario. So just outside of Toronto. Grew up there and moved out to Vancouver about 5 years ago, and was visiting a lot and thought, why don't I live here? And so made the jump.
I don't blame you. Like you're at SCJ, so you probably spend a ton of time in Brantford,
Right.
I'm sorry for you. But you moved out west and made.
But you're on the island now. You're saying you just said, right?
Yeah.
Yes, I've now moved to the island. Yeah, I'm in a town called Chemainus.
Chemainus is pretty.
Yeah. Chemainus is pretty.
Like halfway between.
Right between Duncan and right, but close to Duncan, between Nanaimo and Victoria.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Nice run. Not far from the Lower Mainland. I mean, lots of pretty little islands all over the place. Nice.
Yeah, it's a pretty beautiful spot for sure. And living in the city for a few years, then coming out here, and it's a whole different world, right?
Oh, for sure. And yeah, you're still close to the noise if you want to be.
Exactly. Yeah. I like city life, I think, more than my wife. So I like to be close, that we can go back and good restaurants, go to a game, go to a concert.
Yeah, for sure.
So.
Get enough of it and then come home, right?
Then come home, right? And that's nice and quiet.
And then get back out of there.
Yeah.
Well, for people that don't know, it's a really pretty spot. You know, the Island Highway is a nice run. Chemainus is right there on the water. It's a cute little town.
Yeah.
God, you could end up in a lot worse than that. Jesus, that's a nice little spot.
Yeah, for sure. Agreed.
It's really funny though. When I look at our backgrounds, Justin, yours and mine are really similar, and then really weird because I met you through Angie Baker. But not even at my J&J days, but like after J&J, after, before we kind of came around to meet each other. So that's it's funny.
Well, you've worked in a few of the same companies, right?
Yeah. And then like same space, right? So really surprised that we've not run into each other before. So anyway. So I'll do an intro and then we'll have you jump in. So we've got Justin Osborne on. He's the VP of Sales for Eat and Beyond Global Holdings. We'll hear about that for sure. But like super interesting background. Justin's got some Pfizer in his background. He's got some PepsiCo, SCJ, Vega. And now VP of Sales for Eat and Beyond, and then kind of worked your way through, right? So really similar background, like an ABM. You got shopper marketing in your background. You've got brand management as well as key account experience under your belt. So pretty cool. Welcome to the podcast.
And all done by the time he's 15.
Yeah, I know.
Wow, that's a rock star.
Amazing.
Look at him.
I know.
Well,
just wait till he hits 20, right?
Gray, but it's okay.
I just thought that was highlights.
So between the baby face and the gray hair, I look about my age, I figure.
15.
Yeah. Man. Anyway, so that's the intro. We met you through Angie Baker, which is super, super amazing. The show's kind of yours, man. Tell us about you. You've got an interesting journey, and then we'd love to be able to work our way to what you're doing now.
Yeah, sure. So I grew up outside of Toronto, went to school there, did my undergrad in finance, actually, oddly enough, graduated, realized I did not like finance, quickly moved out of that into sales. And I worked for a company called Reynolds and Reynolds. It was an auto software company that they use at car dealerships.
Yeah.
A bit of a weird world. So I was basically cold calling on dealerships between Windsor and kind of Kitchener, which is a great run. So
seems kind of fun and perilous sometimes, maybe a little dangerous. Yeah.
It was the winter there, you just see abandoned cars on the side of the 401, which is great. But there are some pros and cons. The pros, right, grew thick skin pretty quickly because a lot of people just were very rude to you. And realized that I really loved sales. I loved like the act of selling. I loved the psychology of buying. I loved all of that stuff. So after doing that for a while, I went back to school to sort of, switch over my career into that more sales and marketing path. And while I was doing my MBA, I got a chance to do an internship at SC Johnson, which is an amazing company. It is in Brantford, like you said, probably not the favorite spot, but it's the company was amazing. And that was my first sort of experience with CPG, doing an internship there. It wasn't an industry I thought a ton about, honestly. Like when I was younger, it didn't really occur to me, but got a chance to go into a category role there, and it was incredible. The people there are incredible. I learned so much. I mean, all of these things about how the shelf is set up and the way the consumer looks at the shelf and the way their eyes glance, which direction, and where all of those things that I had never thought about that just now become second nature. And you guys know better than almost anyone, all of those things. And so I just sort of fell in love with it. And that's what sort of steered me into this kind of traditional CPG path in the sort of, greater Toronto area. So after that, I did some time at Pfizer, an ABM role in the nutritional segment. So Centrum, Caltrate, those type of things. Then I did a ABM role at PepsiCo in field marketing and then shopper marketing. So another sort of different lens, but same idea. And then I went back to SC Johnson. A job opened up there in sales. And so went there for about 5 years. I was there. First did a key account manager role on Costco, then Loblaws after that, and then pivoted over to the marketing side and managed the Ziploc brand, which was fun. Did a partnership with the Toronto Blue Jays while I was there. Did one with Disney. So some really, really cool learnings there. Got a free trip to Disney. That was pretty awesome. I'll take that. So some pretty cool stuff there on the marketing side. It was very fun. I left shortly after, so I guess I got Disney trip in and then left. But I guess sort of while I was at SEJ, I think two sort of things happened. I think one, I got a bit more conscious into what I was consuming, both like physically eating, but also like the packaging I'm using, the impact that I was having on the planet, right? So, when you're selling Ziploc bags and things like that, it's not exactly the best impact on the planet, right? So thought more about that. I went vegan for about 6 months. Full transparency, I do eat meat now, but went vegan for a while, really started to evaluate things and started to look at like what type of CPG job could I work that was more in line with sort of reducing impact on the planet. And Vega came up. And then at that same time, my now wife and I were talking about let's get out of the GTA and let's get out to Vancouver. We were visiting there a lot, had some family there. Every time we visited, we're like, I don't know why we don't live here. It's incredible. It's so beautiful. It's amazing. We had a nephew that was born on the island. and we were just visiting, and we were taking the ferry actually between the mainland and the island, right, and looking around, and it's whales and mountains and the ocean. It's like
pretty spectacular. I mean, you take it for granted. It's pretty spectacular.
It's like, what are we doing? So those two things combined, and Vancouver's sort of the hotbed for the plant-based natural segment of CPG. So it seemed like a great move. Again, I think you're absolutely right. Like, I think people that live in Vancouver their whole life sometimes do take it for granted a little bit more. Me, I'm still like a bit of a tourist. Like, I see the mountains and I'm like amazed every time, right? Like
it's sad you become
I'm that dummy. Every time I see Kenny, like last year I was out there. Well, over the last year, I've been out there probably 5 or 6 times, and I'm that dummy, right? Every time I'm taking pictures of the mountains, like, I love it. I really love it.
It's pretty spectacular. It really is. I mean, you just don't realize how pretty, like BC in general is not definitely one of the nicest spots on the planet. And Vancouver's setting is spectacular.
It's wild. Yeah. It's, you drive in basically any direction and you're in the most beautiful place ever.
Absolutely. Right? It's crazy, right?
And it's a little bit, usually when you go on vacation, you're going to a different country and it's beautiful, but you're like, I probably couldn't live here, right?
Yeah,
like,
time to go home, right?
I don't think I could transition and live here. When we're there, we're like, we're in Canada. This is amazing. It's, so it's, and now that I've lived here for a while, I've become very soft. I don't think I can move back because I can't handle cold. Can't handle the winter.
It happens.
Yeah. When we're back visiting my parents and my dad's like, what is wrong with you?
But have you started using what we all do? It's a different cold here though, right?
Yes.
That's the path we go down. When they all think we're soft, it's a different cold. We got a lot of water that gets right into your bones.
Yes.
So don't do that. You're a tough guy. You can handle the cold weather out here. I'm with you.
Exactly. But it's tough to move back now that I've been here for a while. So
especially Shemane. It's like, honestly, people don't know. You're in a really pretty spot.
Yeah. Yeah. It is nice.
I mean, it's pretty sweet.
It is nice. And we have a 3-year-old son, or almost 3-year-old son. So I love the city, but getting him out of the city, I think
it's fantastic.
Yeah. It's probably a good call for it. So moved out to Vancouver, landed at Vega. My wife landed a job at Lululemon. So I like to tell people we got the 2 most Vancouver jobs ever. I'm selling plant-based protein, and my wife was working at a yoga company. So we went full Vancouver immediately.
Jeez.
And was there for about 4.5 years, worked on the sales strategy side, managing that team, and then moved over to the head of sales for Canada. So on the sales strategy side, I was actually Chris Bailey, who you've had on the podcast, hired me.
Chris, yeah.
No way.
Yeah, I replaced him in that role. And then Angie Baker got hired and replaced me in the sales strategy role.
No way. That's hilarious.
That's so funny. I was in between the two of them, oddly enough. It's 2 guests you've had. I did that for a while. And then this opportunity came up with Eat and Beyond to just do something really different than what I had been doing in the past, and something that I thought, okay, this is going to really stretch me. And, I won't exactly know what I'm doing, but I'll figure it out. And just a really unique opportunity, I thought, to continue to grow in my career. So that's, I guess, traditional CPG and smaller natural CPG, into now sort of the investment side of smaller natural CPG.
So you may as well keep going. So what is it that what is the company you work for now? What exactly does it do?
I have a question before we get there. With your CPG background, because I think one of the things, we have a fairly large CPG audience. So there's a lot of folks with parts of what you and I have done, or all of what you and I have done. What's the difference? Like, coming from kind of classic CPG, SCJ, J&J, my background, like all of those companies, when you went to somewhere like Vega, were there any like immediate differences you could see besides, the product is plant-based, it's different, but any organizational differences, things like that you kind of go, that's different?
There are tons of differences. I knew right away it was going to be very different. I flew in for my interview with Chris Bailey. I showed up in a full suit, walked into the office. Everyone was wearing sneakers and t-shirts and had dogs. Chris did not give me a heads up to not wear a suit, and I flew in, so I had no other clothes.
That's so Toronto.
So Chris completely screwed me on that one. So right away, I didn't really fit the part right away. But so just everyone's completely casual, right? So completely different workplace in that sense. And I think that what you're wearing does make an impact on the culture itself, right? Because it's not as like uptight and buttoned up in Toronto and like hierarchy and all of that, right? It's a lot more open. Collaborative, just casual, right? So you can have more of those conversations and levels don't matter as much. So I think that's one of the huge like pros. The thing that was very different that took me a while to get used to was the like lack of organizational structure or even like the level of autonomy that you have in your role, which is great. But at first it's a bit overwhelming, right? Because you come from large CPG where it's like you do this and then this.
This
and
is your box, right?
Your
Like
guardrails are so high,
right? It's like, and it's very black and white. And so you move really slowly, but you don't make mistakes. And then when you get the smaller world, you move really quickly, but you make mistakes, right? So it just takes a while to get used to. And I even remember when I first started, and I asked my manager, "Hey, like, what should I do here?" And they're like, "Well, what do you want to do?" we don't know, right? Like we haven't done a P&L. What do you think we should do? We should do a P&L. So, but it's trying to balance, right? Like you have so many less people that you don't want to bog it down with structure, but there are certain things like an S&OP process that you need to implement just so that you're not, going off the rails in some of this stuff. So there is a lack of structure. And then also I'd always worked for US companies in the Canada office. So the Canada office was large, but you're also leaning on a US office that has thousands of people, right? And so a lot of times you're taking their stuff and adapting it to the Canadian marketplace. Whereas this, I was working at a true head office, right? So there was no US office. It was everything at Vegas happening right there, which is a whole different thing as well, right? We had the lab right there where they were doing the new formulas. There was all that kind of stuff. So it was very different.
Wow. Okay. Thank you.
Cool.
I figure right now there's probably, because health and wellness and this kind of healthy food thing. I mean, it's not taken off. It's moving. It's a full industry now. But I do think there are folks from our worlds that are doing what, we've done, right? Is gone, oh my God, I've got to be able to do something that's better. And so as they cross over, I think that's really valuable, right? Is having them kind of understand what the differences are. Thank you. And then Kenny, your question.
We've hired a lot of people. When I was at Vega, we hired a lot of people from big CPG. And I remember talking about that in the interview of like, when you get here, it's going to take you a while to adjust, right? Like it's going to be very different and overwhelming at times. And you're going to see things that like, that's not how that process should work. It's correct, but someone needs to fix it. So like someone needs to put in the time to actually do that. So
carefully though, because you can't overstructure too quickly.
Exactly.
Because the beauty of the West Coast is a little just more fluid. Exactly. Just bring it down a notch. It'll get there. Exactly. But to your point, a basic P&L, a couple guardrails.
Needs to happen.
Put guardrails on the highway. It's all good. We can slow down on a corner. Just take a breath of air. Still do the corner, but just maybe calm it down just a little bit.
Yeah. Exactly.
Cool.
Okay, so let's go. So what do you do now, and what is this thing, Eats and Beyond?
Yeah, so it's what's called an investment issuer. So the way I explain it to people, it's very similar to private equity, except we're a public company. So we focus on the plant-based space. You probably haven't heard of the company, but you've probably heard of our portfolio companies, right? So Very Good Butchers and Nabati and Beyond Moo and Daydream. There's about 15 right now. Banana Wave's one that we just acquired. So we focus on purchasing a piece of these smaller natural-based companies and then working to expand them. So my job as VP of Sales is basically to help these smaller companies scale up, get distribution, develop an actual sales strategy, work with brokers, distributors, all that type of stuff to get them to a place where they can be, the next Vega, let's say. So it's fun. I'm working at about 3 companies at a time. And so as I work on those companies and try and grow them, work with the founders or what teams they have. And then we were consistently bringing in new companies and try and scale them up to a point where they have a bit of a sales team in place and they don't need me as directly.
Is the intent to grow and sell, or to grow and hold, or does it matter?
It depends. I think so. Some of them are public, some of them are private. So in the private ones, usually it's to scale them to a point where it makes sense to go public.
Yeah.
The private ones, it might make, grow and then sell them, right? So at some point we want to realize that value of where we're growing them. They are all at different sizes. I think if you look at the portfolio, like some are very small, like 2 employees, some are quite a bit larger. And then our stakes in the companies are very different too. Some we own fully, some we only own a part of, right? So it's sort of a different strategy for each one. I think we're moving to more of a acquiring fully or acquiring a majority of companies, just so that we have a bit more control and can, of course, then grow it and dedicate more resources and financing towards it.
Yeah. And at that point, though, I'm assuming that it's not to hold indefinitely. It is really truly to scale and get to a point where it moves to somebody else.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Wow.
So it's sort of like I feel like it's a bit of the future of CPG, right? So I know private equity is very common. Again, something that I didn't know much about before moving to Vancouver, because large CPG, you don't talk about it as much, I guess. And then when I got to Vega, it was learned a lot about private equity in that world and all of that. And this is slightly different, but same idea. I think it's a bit of the future of CPG, right? Is how do these small companies get funding to scale up so that they can become, a large company at some point. And
right.
Yeah.
It's kind of, it's cool. I guess I'm like, the publicly traded portion is unique, right? Because I think a lot of investors that, or private equity, they're private. So
they're
where
private,
they spend
right?
their money is where they spend their money. And when they get returned is when they get returned. But it's interesting, like how does the company, I don't know if you know this, or maybe you have an insight, but no trade secrets, please. But like, how do you balance, like, because you've got these startup companies that are in here, and then, but publicly traded probably means you are accountable for dividends and, things like that you're going to pay back to shareholders, right? So how do you balance like helping companies grow versus, being accountable to shareholders? That's weird to me. I know that's weird. Like, you come from SCJ, I come from J&J. We always had, you knew what was going to happen. Like if you weren't hitting your numbers, but you had promised dividend, we're getting to that number one way or another, right? Like we have to sell livers to get there. We're going to do it. But so.
Well, the whole model's different, Phil. Like a publicly traded company is very different than a private company. Private company's got time or whatever the owners want to do with the money. Public, you got your windows are a lot tighter. I mean, how do you?
Yeah, like so, like you just acquired somebody like Banana Wave.
Mm-hmm.
You might just be cracking open the books to figure out, like, you didn't just crack it. I mean, you guys probably did a ton of work before you got there, but then you're still accountable to sharehoers for,
And I guess a lot of the new and cool or
the books
cool
look
stuff.
Good, but I went into the shop and like,
or the opposite, went into the shop and the books were ooh.
Yeah, that's exactly it, right? Like
right? Because typically privately run small companies,
to
your point, can be a bit of a shit show, right? I mean, there's
for sure.
It looks good and the item's cool and the concept's cool and the culture's cool. And then you look at the finances and you think, holy shit, like this is the train wreck happened days ago. This is full on carnage.
Interesting.
Yeah. And it's definitely a unique setup, right? And you can, I don't think the regulatory bodies love it, right? Because we have private companies that are part of our investment portfolio and we have public ones. So it's a bit convoluted, right?
Right.
In there for sure. And I think like your question is valid, right? Like how do we be accountable to shareholders and how do we also grow the company? So we have, targets and forecasts and all of that we've submitted on, here's how we're going to scale the company. And we need to hold to those, I guess, is the short answer.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And if we don't, then we solve that time. But we have sort of established growth plans for each one that we share. I guess is the easiest way to say it, right?
Yeah.
But I'm trying to understand, like, it's funny because the space you're in, it's the conflict of the growth and the money aspect with a lot of it's in virtue of the nature of the beast of the industry, with a lot of owners who can be flaky, for, not to be picking or mean, but you're in a whole different space.
Yeah.
This isn't, drug or, true conventional CPG. Most of these people are in for a purpose. There's a reason. It's saving the planet, saving whales, saving trees, whatever it is. It kind of, the idea and the business can kind of conflict with each other to a point. I mean, you can definitely make it work. Vega made it work. Charles and the crew made it work. Mm-hmm. They had a cool vision. They did their thing and sold for a ton of money, and it's a great product line and yada, yada, yada. But how do you, so I'm with Phil. Like, so when you get the public aspect in there, I'm trying to understand how does that balance out? Unless I guess all the public equity is all the same kind of flaky people that we would be that like that stuff and don't mind a little wait or a longer wait or.
Yeah, I think, I don't know, but I think it is a lot of that, right? I think if you're investing in that, that's part of what you believe, right? Is this shift towards plant-based. We've seen, recently the stock market's not been great to plant-based in the recent months, right? So,
well, but there was some validity to that too. Seriously,
companies
valued. They hadn't sold anything yet. Like, really, come on. Pick a number, right? $1 billion. Oh, sure. Yeah, you're worth trillions.
There's some valuations that were out of control.
There's a lot of people that's made inflated. A lot of money, and that's okay.
Yeah,
someone did well.
Yeah, there's a bit too much in that. So I think you're right. I think there was some validity to it for sure, right? So bringing that, but that then impacts decisions on, like, at what point do you take a company public? What point do you do another round of funding? What can you do the new round of funding at, right? So so it does complicate or delay or all of that, right? So I think we just have to be smart about when we do those things so that we're maximizing the value of each brand, right? And I think the founders that we choose, we spend a lot of time looking at the companies, who the founders are, what their purpose is, what the product line is, what future extensions of that product line could be. So we have to do all that up front to avoid any of those issues, right? Because founders are extremely passionate. It's their baby. And we're coming in and sometimes saying, hey, you should do X, Y, and Z. And, maybe they feel differently. And so that's where some of those conversations have to happen. But it is a bit unique, and there is a wrinkle there with it being public for sure. But again, it is a portfolio of companies. And so each one has its unique value proposition, growth plan, target trajectory, all of that stuff. Right. So it's
it seems really, it's pretty cool. I think it's why Kenny and I do what we do too, right? Because you come into companies and you get a chance to help them. The answers are kind of the same, but how you get there is almost different every time, right? Like, do you find, like, so the folks that you wind up investing in, like you've got this, your set is all over the place, right? Like you've got plant fuel, which is, kind of like nutrition, but you've got very good butchers, which is at the far end of, like replacing, carnivorous meat. I'm sure there's a better way to say that. I have no idea. But then you've got like people like reusables and things like that. It's really cool. Like, so are these guys ready for you? Like when you, not specifically any of those brands, but like when you go into these places, how, I think speaking from experience, how ready are these folks for you? Like, cause sometimes you go into places and they've got some things, they don't have a lot of things. How ready are they for you? And then where do you, that whole process. Like, so when you show up at one of these new brands,
they're not ready for prime time. It's kind of the old expression, right?
Yeah. Cause there's like a lot of fundamentals, right, that tend to be missing. Like, I guess it depends on how you pick these companies, but
we've been in this space too long. So we're both probably a little on the cynical side, and you've been in this long enough to know, right? Is that the ideas and the founders are typically salt of the earth, cool people, great ideas, great cool visionaries. People. Couldn't manage a business that their life depended on.
Well, they're entrepreneurs, right? So they kind of so I mean, they have a fixation for getting to the point they're at, but they, in essence, need to, kind of pass that on to people. You say P&L and they look at you thinking, what the hell's a P&L? And you're thinking,
no.
Well, we were laughing about it yesterday, right? Because we were talking to some founders and we were laughing because she said, I know I work for other companies, and when the founder says, yeah, don't worry about it, we'll have money for that. And then she goes, no, there's, where's the money, right? Like, what do you mean it'll be okay? It's not okay. Where is it, right? And then she turned around and with her own company said that to us yesterday. And she said, it's okay, we'll have the money. And we both said to her, you don't have the money. Like, we just saw, we just went over it.
Pretty clear.
We can kick it down the road, but 9 months from now, you still don't have the money. Like, it's not a, how do you, is there a process? Do you kind of see a pattern, or how does that work when you kind of jump into these guys?
Yeah, I mean, they're all different levels, I would say. And it's even similar to how when I first arrived at Vega, right? Like, it was much bigger, but there was
still behaved like a small company.
There was a clash between big CPG people like myself coming in and the people that had built the company to that point, right? Because we're coming in and saying, hey, you need to change this, this, and this, and you're doing it wrong. And they're saying, we're not doing it wrong. We just built this enormous company, right? So it's a bit of you're definitely butting heads, right? So I'm used to that a little bit already. And the way that I like to phrase deals is it's two different skill sets, right? Like, I haven't founded a business. I'm not a founder, right? So I they've gotten to a point where now we can scale it up, and that's where my team can help and come in and do that expertise and understands the retail market and all that stuff, right? And can help grow it. But to your point, founders it's their baby, right? They put a lot of work into this. It is their baby. They want to make sure that it's protected and does well. I think it's important in the onset to just agree on like what the mutual benefit is, right?
Right.
Saying like, if I can get you distribution here and can grow this, that's good for both of us, right?
Yeah.
But you're naturally going to have things that you disagree about, and so you just need to focus on sort of the conflict resolution and remember that it's two different skill sets, right? And try and focus them on what they're amazing at, which usually is product development, maybe some of the marketing, that type of thing. That sales is usually not their forte, right? That's usually not their expertise. It's more on the product development side.
Yeah, typically it's nothing to do with money. I hate to say it so weirdly, but it's just if you give them $1, they'll spend $1.10 and not understand why they're broke.
Yes.
Like, they'll look at you like dumbfounded. Well, how can you think it? Because you've overspent. You didn't have the money. Like, the concept's pretty tight, right?
Yeah.
And have $1, spend $1.10 problem.
Absolutely right. And there are traps in the retail space that small brands can get caught in terms of what they're paying to retailers. You guys had a great episode a while back that I loved, that was about one specific retailer and how the costs associated with that. Sometimes you get distribution there and it's very exciting. And then you realize, oh no, we're screwed, right? So
well,
they'll kill you. I mean, they can literally bankrupt you.
Yeah. So that's where I think having someone like myself and the rest of the team come in and say, oh, maybe we're not ready for that.
Right.
We do this, and this first. And that can be tough because, the shining object over that of the mass number of stores can be really, really attractive, but sometimes it's talking about of like, hey, we need to, grow in a sustainable way so we don't stretch ourselves too thin.
Right. But what that's like sort of where Phil's getting going, like, you've got founders who just, I mean, honestly, they don't, it's not saying they like all of them, but it typically, especially in the natural side, it really becomes, it's like money is not the important thing to a lot of them, which I get, but it's quite important to actual business.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And that you can't delineate those two. And the concept, like we've done it. I've battled with thinking people. I thought, how you can't do it this way, guys. I mean, I want to support the dream, like, big time, but finances are finances.
I think the toughest one, we had a conversation with someone where we said, okay, listen, so the only way you're in some trouble and you actually, we're going to give you the next steps. And then you actually need to fire us because we're going to be part of your problem, right?
Well, we are your problem. We're a cost.
Yeah, right. And then that kind of made someone go, "Wait, what are you talking about? Like, what? Like,
really? Yeah,
we need to stay and help you, but we can't. Like,
but there's no separate money tree, right?
I mean, like, it's not, you know, work. Like, yeah. It's very funny. Not funny, but
I think you have to, not funny, but funny.
Yeah.
It's one of those, right? Like I think their focus is more on the brand and the product and the mission than the money, right? But that's where, again, you have to sometimes the wake.
But that's the great part of it. I'm sure you're finding that. That's the fun of it. That's the part, like, you're thinking, I only wish big companies could do this, but they can't because they've lost all that. So their only way to create innovation is trying to find the people that you have to buy and hopefully don't fuck it up like they've done numerous times in the past, because then they try to put these behemoth rules into organizations that don't function that way and yet need some structure.
Exactly, right? Yeah. That's where, again, it's the money is, but again, it's like the money is what allows them to keep going forward with their dream of this company.
Exactly.
So it's you have to have that reality check sometimes, right? And when you go through that, but it is the passion of the founders is interesting. It's amazing what they've built a lot of times when we talk to them, because I can't imagine starting something from complete scratch and building up to a point where it's in hundreds of stores. Like that's incredible to me, right? That you have a real product brand, multiple products, you're in stores, you're marketing, you've done, I mean, it's very impressive, right? And then when you add a little bit more horsepower to it, that's when it can really scale up, right?
So impressive enough. Sorry, Phil. Impressive enough. Is there an itch?
Yeah.
Like, can you start to feel it? Do you know what I mean? Like, I know a lot of people have come in, never done it, never thought of it. And then you get into, especially with a lot of these people, because this industry, the natural side is awesome.
Yeah.
I don't give a shit if it's plant-based, not, it really does. The natural side is just a hoot. And most of the industry is fantastic, but it's really hard for not to start to rub off. I mean, you're in Shemanis now, buddy. I mean, pretty soon you're going to be swimming with the dolphins and the orcas, and you'll be saving clams. Like, you're going to be it, man. You're in Shemanis. So when are we losing you to this entrepreneurial thing, and you're going to be out there,
I've had this question a lot from people and like friends and stuff that I've grown up with have asked this. Hey, do you want to start a company one day? Is that your plan? Mm-hmm. And I've always said, like, it would be great. The truth is, I don't have an idea good enough right now. Right. So, I mean, if I did, that would be great. If I had an idea that I thought was differentiated and I was super passionate about, and that I wanted to work on, then sure, I think I might take that leap at some point. I think right now, frankly, I'm still learning a lot. Right. So I need to continue to do that. I've got a 3-year-old son, so I'm not sure it's the right time for me to take a jump like that. But one day, if that amazing idea strikes me, I would love to, but it just hasn't yet, unfortunately.
No, there's no unfortunate. It'll happen.
Yeah,
it'll happen, and it doesn't have to be your idea. It's just there's so many people out there. Just look for people to work with.
But I don't know if being around all these folks will lead you to the idea.
I don't think it leads you to the idea. I think it leads you to the opportunities potentially, or to see an idea. I don't think not most people don't have the idea. Most people walk into someone else's idea and can help them make it better. Is a lousy word.
Yeah. Okay.
Different, better, scalable, like you're doing now, but making it much more personal. Where it's no longer for a group of investors. It's for you and the wife sitting there with your best friend saying, you know what, shit, this wouldn't be a big hit, but I think this could be really cool. What do you think?
Yeah, I think I agree. I think that's the more likely scenario, right? Is that somebody comes to me with an idea and they go, what do you think of this? Do you think this is something that can work? And the light bulb goes off, right? And you're like, yes, I do, right? And you go for it.
That could be us. That's why I'm trying to get into your head here. Because we get a lot of these people. And a lot of times you're thinking, oh, I know who can do this.
Yeah. Kenny's sending you paperwork right after this call.
Or people, one of the two.
Yeah. I mean, I think that is probably the more likely long-term scenario. I think I've been going sort of progressively smaller, right? In the companies that I'm working for. And so you're right, like, sort of edging towards that. Yeah. The role I'm in right now is really cool because I sort of get to do that, but with someone else's money, right? As I get to help build up these companies and I get to see all these different companies and new companies are always coming in. So it keeps it interesting. So I really love that. There's a lot of cool stuff happening there, and it's long term, who knows, right? I think if somebody came to me with an idea that I thought had legs and I was passionate about, sure, I would look at that long term. I sort of agree with you. I don't know that I'll have that idea. I wish I could be like, yeah, I have these amazing founder ideas, but I think that's the more likely scenario is I partner up with somebody. Who knows?
Just so you know, that's, I think, most people's scenario.
Yeah.
I mean, really and truly, there's not a lot of visionaries on the planet per se. There are people who have a lot of cool ideas, but they don't make businesses. And then you get a very small group that you think, man, that was so simple. How the hell did you see that? I mean, we should have all seen it, but nobody's, you know what I mean? And then you're thinking, wow, that's.
No, because you think somebody else saw it already, right? It's probably like, I just haven't heard of it, right? But
who knows?
But that's not true.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, walk into people all the time, you think, wow, that was so basic. That hurts. Wow, nobody's doing it. You're thinking, okay, well.
I was thinking about StubHub with that one, like a resale of tickets. So simple. Seriously? How did no one think of that?
like how hard a concept is that? Been doing it for a million years, right?
Exactly. Right? Every game you've ever been to, there's people selling tickets out front. It's like somehow no one.
Probably since the beginning of time, probably the Coliseum days. You know, so the Lions out today. I know this one. You should get seats. Exactly. It's been around for a million years, right? People have been doing it forever.
Yeah.
Who would have thought to make a business around it?
I don't know. Yeah, it's.
Now, how many do you have?
Yeah. Oh my god!
You know, how many options do you have? You can buy tickets like
everywhere. Yeah.
What out of the portfolio that you've got now? Mm-hmm. Is there one that you're kind of like super excited about? Like they're all pretty cool.
They're all pretty cool. I mean, I went through your list too. I popped on this morning. I thought, wow, it's a neat little portfolio.
Yeah. There's there's a few. I mean, that I guess I'm pretty excited about. Banana Waves, I think, is really exciting. That's only in the US right now. So as someone who has a Vega shake for breakfast that has oat milk in it and a banana in it every single day, this has oats and bananas in it. So for me, it's an easy fit into my life. And I know a lot of people that make that same shake. So that I think is a real winner that I'm excited to continue to expand in the US and one day bring to Canada. Excited about that one for sure. Beyond Moo, we're getting a lot of traction on is oat-based yogurt. Just launched a kids drinkable there that we're seeing great traction on. So I think that's a cool product, allergen free for schools, which is huge, right?
Cool.
So
yeah,
I'm really excited about that one. Yulia, the founder, is amazing and super passionate. So we're adding 20 stores sort of a week on that one. So really excited there for what we're doing. And then we've got some other companies that we're looking at that I'm really excited about, but I can't talk about. Not this episode, but that would be that'll be really cool additions to our portfolio that are in a good spot, but have lots of room for expansion in total North America, which is pretty exciting. Yeah.
So Banana Waves, now you got me curious. So Banana Waves, is it a like a mix, like a quasi protein mix, like a Vega idea, except banana and oats, and you stir, or what is it?
No, it's liquid, like aseptic. It's like it'd be
ready
like
to drink.
Yeah, it's ready to drink. It's got it's oat based with banana in it as well. There's chocolate.
So shake and go.
Yeah, they have a smaller one, and then they've got the larger ones that are like similar to a almond milk or an oat milk.
Right.
Like what you buy at Scope or something else. Yeah. So great flavor. So, like I like bananas and I like oat milk. So
cool. Clean, great. Like pretty clean product. Like
it looks really clean.
Yeah, clean product, great ingredients. Again, I think it'll be amazing for shakes and smoothies and that, but also just to drink on its own. I think kids will love the flavors that are coming out for it. So I've gotten the opportunity to try it because I had samples sent up to me, and it's really good. I think it'll be a hit.
And you said it's in the States only at this point.
States only at this point. Yeah.
Refrigerated, or
no, shelf stable. Yeah.
Phil's on the webpage. I can tell already.
I am. Yeah, it's super cool. Like I think.
No, I like the concept of like banana and oats. Like, I mean, honestly, banana in a smoothie or a shake.
Yeah.
I mean, really, come on, guys.
It's a must.
That's not a mind bender. I mean, that's pretty.
It's a must. Yeah.
Again, someone decided to put it together, and we're all thinking, "Well, this is the coolest thing on the planet." You're thinking, okay, well, really?
Yeah.
See, that's the problem. How hard an idea was that?
Yeah, you think dummy. Like this is what everybody does. Like as soon as you think smoothie, you go, "Do we have bananas?"
No, right? Who does that?
I've been making that smoothie for 5 years now, every single morning. Right?
Honestly,
I put the oat milk in, then the banana on top of it. it's like when I heard
son of a
it just skipped a step for me. Yeah, that's
so for most, just we're pretty clear.
For most. So that's a great one that I think it's a bit differentiated, right? There's not something exactly like it yet. So it's cool. It's in about 5,000 stores in the US, and so excited to bring it to Canada, and there's still tons of room in the US for expansion too. So that's a pretty exciting one.
You know what? Like, I think the other thing is product format is really interesting because they actually, like Kenny, they made a little one, like an 8 ounce that'll like 100%. As soon as I saw it, I think lunch boxes. This will go in a lunch box. Like, this is the sort of thing that every parent would want to. It's one of those ready to serve, like a fruit box, like a drink box almost.
Sort of septic with the lines inside and stuff.
Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like, and you kind of go, duh, again, right? Like, duh, but it's just a product format, right? Like, whereas everybody else sells it in a large format. Now this is a ready to serve. You can buy it like a drink box, you know, it goes right on the shelf instead of a fruit box, right? Like fruits, kind of like fruit boxes has been competitive to death, right? So now you've got some a little bit new, right? And you're not sticking the sugary quick stuff.
Exactly.
You know.
Exactly. So yeah, I think that'll be huge, right? For the kids. Drinkable will be awesome. A huge addition, right? So then it's not just that smoothie occasion, you're also getting into a whole other market with it, right? And it's if you look at the NFT, right, it's super healthy for kids. So it's an awesome.
It's all good. There's nothing wrong on this one.
Yeah, versus like I would drink Fruitopia when I was a kid or something.
Right. Yeah. Oh my God, we didn't even like. I'm predating, but we would drink the Welch's stuff. Like, it's all sugar, right? Like it's 100% sugar, and then Minute Maid even. Yeah. In your time, they didn't have drink boxes.
We had Tang. And we all liked it, just so we're very clear.
Awesome 100%. Like, stirred well. Hawaiian Punch.
Oh, Hawaiian Punch was God. That was too nutritious though.
This is awesome.
It almost had real fruit juice.
So this is really like what an interesting. It's an interesting model. We'll have to, I think, as you add brands and you see, because I think, like, again, right, like the brands that we've had on this podcast, like 100% sure, almost every one of them is going, gotta go check how we find Justin. How do we talk to Justin?
There's a lot of them that would fit obviously well with what.
Well, they think they would fit, right? So I think, you know, kind of seeing what else you pick out of the market, and then how your portfolio evolves will be really interesting.
And then we'll see where the personal portfolio goes of, you know, what you and the wife and the 3-year-old.
Yeah. So when you find your product, you can come back on. Yeah. You can announce it here.
It was for sure. CHFA was fun this year. It was like a bit of like company shopping, I guess is what I call it.
Well, that's what it is, right? Well, really, Toronto's going to even be better, I think, because we were still quasi-pandemic-y feeling. Yeah. Still in Vancouver, but I think Toronto's going to be. Are you going to CHFA and see? That will be the shopping time, and then obviously Expo's like just a whirlwind.
It's like a lose your mind.
Yeah. So I'm excited to go back. It's been a few years for Expo for me.
Wow. Yeah, last year was the first in 20 I missed. This year, I mean. Yeah. That's a great show.
Thank you for coming on.
That was awesome, man.
Thank you guys for
this was really amazing. Yeah. LinkedIn, the best way for people to find you?
Yeah, LinkedIn would be the best way. So just my name, Justin Osborne. I think you guys will post after. So easiest way, reach out to me. I check it fairly regularly. So that's the easiest way.
Awesome. Thank you. We'll stick Justin's contacts down below in the podcast notes, as well as Eat and Beyond, so you can check out the portfolio. But thank you for coming on.
Go enjoy your West Coast
come back anytime. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks guys for having me. Hopefully we got a lot of cool stuff in the future and we can chat again.
Well, it'd be nice to have you back on. Yeah, I do have a feeling we will have an episode over the next period of time where it'll be, okay, Justin, so what are you doing? It'll come.
Yeah, that would be,
it'll come.
Yeah, hopefully one day for sure. And Kenny, if you're ever on the island, you let me know. Grab a beer.
You know what? I have been. It's funny. We built a house and sold a house last year in Duncan.
Okay, yeah.
So we got a builder that I really like. I'd love to do another project. I mean, it might be a little dicey right now. We're gonna have to wait a little bit to see what happens. But yeah, I mean, yeah, the island's okay. I wouldn't want to live on the island. My brother lives on the island, but I love going to the island. I like coming home though.
Yeah,
East Van, I don't like being too far
world from Vancouver.
Yeah, I like being in the hood. I don't. Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks, Justin.
Hey guys, thanks.
Take care, man.
Okay, thanks. Take care.
Thanks for coming on.
Bye.
Phil, stick around.
He's cool.
That's cool. Like it's
that was cool.
Yeah, I like.
What an interesting concept.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, it's not a. There's no new ideas out there, and yet you hear them and you're thinking, wow, that is just so cool. And you're thinking it's an investment company. They just did it a little different way.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah, I like it. I like it a lot. Yeah. Yeah. And then he's like, they're building a really cool portfolio.
There's some interesting brands.
Yeah.
There's some small ones, there's some little large, but I think there's some neat things going on in there.
He's
definitely going to get the bug, though. He is 100%. Oh,
okay.
100%.
Okay.
100. He's going to be on the West Coast. Are you kidding me? It's going to start getting even more ingrained to him. And then he's going to find someone really cool and think, this could be fun.
Listen, he was super chill about it, but he has a super cool job. Like he does what we do, except with financial security.
Exactly. Ding, ding. Yeah.
It's amazing.
I think it's pretty cool. I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I think what he's doing is very cool.
Yeah. We'll have to watch. We'll have to stay on him.
Yeah. And I think like for listeners, like, so by the time you listen to this, Jiren's episode will be out as well. There's a couple of investors,
a couple really cool ones.
like really cool ones who have been on the show. We had Dean Mosca on from before, so in a way he is in that
little different side,
camp,
but it's the same idea. Different.
Yeah, so some interesting viewpoints if you're a brand that's looking for investment, looking for people to help out and invest.
And these are good people. Like these are people that want to do interesting things. It's not the smarmy VCs that the feel that you get when you say that. These are people that actually want to actually make a difference and give you a hand and see where you can go with it. So I think it's pretty cool.
It's pretty cool.
I think it's pretty cool.
Awesome.
Thank
you for listening.
Yeah. Thanks everybody.